I pounded on the locked bedroom door so hard my knuckles ached. On the other side, my husband was asleep. Or at least, that's what he claimed later. My 3-year-old son was screaming in the kitchen, oil burns blistering across his tiny hand and arm. His sister was frozen in shock, the pan still on the stove, the smell of hot grease hanging in the air. I shouted my husband's name over and over, but nothing came back. No footsteps, no voice, just silence. When I realized he wasn't coming, I grabbed the first aid kit with shaking hands, but it was obvious this was beyond what I could treat at home. The skin on my son's arm was already angry red, the pain making his whole little body convulse. I knocked again, harder this time, screaming at him to wake up. Still nothing. His phone was turned off, earbuds in, the door locked. That was the moment I knew I couldn't waste another second. My daughter ran to the neighbor's house, and within minutes, we were in their car, racing to the hospital. My son cried the whole way, his small voice breaking in pain, and my mind kept circling the same thought. Why am I doing this alone? But to understand why that locked door was there in the first place, you have to know the backstory. My husband has always valued his sleep, not in the normal, we all need rest way, but in a rigid, unshakable, almost sacred routine. He works long hours, and when he gets home at 5, he goes straight to bed for a 2-hour nap. It's not just about rest, it's about preserving the late-night hours he spends playing on his gaming console. To make that possible, he enforces one strict rule. Do not wake him under any circumstances. At first, it was just a sign on the door. Do not wake me up. Unless, as he put it, someone's hurt or dead. But even then, he'd say he wouldn't be much help. Over time, the rule hardened into something more extreme. If one of us dared to wake him, even for what I thought were serious reasons, he'd get furious. Eventually, he started locking the bedroom door. That lock meant I had no access to our shared room for 2 hours every day. It was inconvenient, yes, but it was the principle that stung. That locked door didn't just keep me out. It kept out any possibility of shared responsibility. I told myself it was just his way of coping with exhaustion. I told myself I could handle the afternoons alone. Until Tuesday. When we got back from the hospital, my son's arm bandaged and his sobs finally quieted, my husband was pacing the living room. His first words weren't, "How's our son?" They were, "Where were you? Why didn't you answer my texts?" I stared at him. Then I told him everything. That I had been pounding on the door. That I'd needed him. That I had to get the neighbor to drive us because he was unreachable. He looked at me, and instead of remorse, he shrugged, said he had his earbuds in and didn't hear a thing. Said I could have done the same thing to him that I was accusing him of. That I'd been irresponsible for leaving our son unsupervised. The words hit like a slap. My daughter was cooking. I was right there in the house. Accidents happen, even when you're watching closely. But this wasn't about an accident. This was about the fact that when an emergency came, the man I married chose to remain behind a locked door. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I walked to the bedroom, found a screwdriver, and took the lock off the door. That's when he exploded. Called me bossy. Accused me of destroying his peace and quiet and causing his sleep deprivation. Insisted I put the lock back. I told him no. He kept complaining, over and over, like the lock was the real tragedy here. Meanwhile, I was still replaying the hospital waiting room, holding my son while he whimpered in my arms, and thinking about that empty space where his father should have been. This isn't the first time his gaming and sleeping patterns have caused problems. Before this, it was YouTube videos late into the night, then gaming. It's as if he's always chasing some obsession to fill his hours, something more important than the people living in this house with him. Our 14-year-old barely talks to him anymore, lost in her own teenage world. Our 3-year-old gets up early just to see his dad before work, the only time of day they actually connect. And now, even that feels hollow to me. The thing is, I understand being tired after work. I understand wanting space. I even understand hobbies. But I don't understand shutting your family out so completely that you can't be reached in a crisis. I don't understand putting earbuds in, turning off your phone, locking a door, and making yourself useless to the people who rely on you. People say that emergencies reveal who we truly are. On Tuesday, my husband revealed that his comfort mattered more than our son's pain. Now the house feels different. The lock is gone, but so is something else. The small, stubborn hope I'd held onto that if something really bad happened, he'd be there. That's the part that keeps me up at night. The burns will heal. But the trust? I don't know if it will. I keep replaying what could have happened if our neighbor hadn't been home. If the injury had been worse. If it had been me, lying on the floor, unable to get up, would he have even noticed before it was too late? And so I'm left with this question, the one that brought me here. Was I wrong to remove the lock? Was I the one who crossed a line? Or was the line already crossed when my husband chose a locked door over his injured child? So, am I the asshole? Here's what I keep coming back to. A marriage is supposed to be a partnership. Parenting is supposed to be a shared responsibility. In those moments when the stakes are high, the people you love should be able to reach you, no matter what. If you make yourself unreachable, you're not just protecting your rest, you're abandoning your role. If you're listening to this, and you've ever chosen comfort over connection, I want you to think about what it costs, not just in the moment, but in the story your family will remember about you. Will they remember someone who showed up, or someone who locked the door? So tell me, what would you have done? And if it were you on the other side of that locked door, would you have opened it